Breaking news tonight, we've learned the Little Elm police detective shot in the line of duty has died.
It's with a heavy heart and sadness that we announce the passing of Detective Jerry Walker. Detective Walker died while responding to an incident that is still an active scene.
Moments before that announcement tonight from the chief, officers from departments all across North Texas stood here all in salute as Detective Jerry Walker's body was brought out of the hospital earlier tonight.
We want to thank you for joining us. I'm Kaylee O'Kelly.
And I'm Doug Dunbar. Here's what we know as of right now as we go on the air. This all started around 3 o'clock or so in the afternoon today. Town of Little Elm, about 15 miles north of Louisville. Police received a call about a man with a long gun at his home in the 1400 block of Turtle Cove Drive. After officers arrived at the house, the Little Elm fire chief told us that the unknown suspect then fired on 48-year-old Detective Jerry Walker.
These are some of the photos of Officer Walker from Facebook. He was the father of 4 who joined the Little Elm Police Department back in 1998, just recently promoted to detective.
Live team coverage tonight. Let's start with our J.D. Miles because we still do have an active scene late at this hour where this all started today. J.D.?
Yeah, Doug, this standoff has been going on for nearly 7 hours now with that man who shot and killed a Little Elm police officer down that block street behind me where this is all happening. We've heard recently some off and on loud popping noises that we don't want to speculate on. Police, we know, are still trying to negotiate a surrender with the shooter after a gut-wrenching day when North Texas lost another officer. It started as a call about a man with a gun. Little Elm police converged on a neighborhood where witnesses say they heard a single gunshot, followed by too many to count.
Those gunshots freaked me out.
I woke up to like a barrage of noises happening, da-da-da-da-da, and then it got louder.
Alicia Bray was in her home across the street.
I didn't know what was going on at first, and I opened my door, and there was police officers in my driveway. One
of the responding officers was Little Elm Detective Jerry Walker, who was shot in the neck. Rachel Bryan and Hannah Morris took these photos as they watched officers frantically load him into a patrol car with injuries too serious to wait for an ambulance.
Before they could even get the door shut, they were taking off.
Authorities sealed off the neighborhood when the shooter refused to surrender. 2 nearby schools were locked down, keeping nervous parents like LaJean Rojas from their children.
Honestly, pretty terrifying. We've only lived here about 3 years, and we've never had any kind of situation like this occur so far.
Late this evening, word that Detective Walker died from his injuries. At the same time, authorities were still negotiating with the suspect barricaded inside his home. Emotionally drained residents who live nearby and were evacuated wait to go home with their thoughts on the officer's family.
He's just trying to, do his civic duty, and it's going to affect the whole community.
Detective Walker was a 15-year veteran with a family. His body just left Denton Regional Medical Center. CBS 11's Jeff Paul is there live where officers' friends and family gathered tonight. Jeff.
Oh yeah, JD, it was a very emotional place to be here outside the ER at the Denton Regional Medical Center. And as you take a look at this video, you can just see how much respect and admiration his fellow officers had for Detective Walker. Dozens and dozens of them from agencies all over the Metroplex lined the sidewalks and entrances at the hospital after learning Walker had been shot and ultimately killed. The law enforcement community did their best to honor Walker as his family left tonight. Now, the crowd of officers and then flipped on their lights and led a procession, presumably for the family of Detective Walker. Now, Walker had been a veteran to the force at least 18 years, we're being told, and was recently promoted to detective in 2013. He leaves behind 4 children ages 22 to 2 months old. Reporting live here at Denton Regional Medical Center, I'm Jeff Paul, CBS 11 News.
J.D. Miles, thank you. Jeff Paul, thank you. Live for us, Denton Regional Medical Center tonight.
Our team coverage continues now with Brittany Jeffers. She's live with several families forced to leave their homes as a result of the investigation tonight.
Kaylee, I just spoke with Red Cross volunteers, and they told me that they got the call early this afternoon from the city that they needed help, that these families needed water, they needed food, and most importantly, they needed somewhere to go. They are staying here tonight. Volunteers tell me many of them visibly shaken up because they don't know if when or if they'll be able to go home.
We have on the order of about 10 to 20 people, and right now we don't have a firm decision as to whether or not we're going to open a shelter or not.
And I did just check in with Red Cross volunteers. They say ultimately that decision on whether or not to open this up as a shelter tonight for a place for people to stay, that's up to the city to decide. They tell me they expect to hear within the next few minutes. Of course, we will keep you updated just as soon as we find out. Reporting live in Little Elm, I'm Brittany Jeffers, CBS 11 News.